trying to figure out the lighting, and there's a lot of light coming off my screen. When I don't dim the screen, it bounces off my glasses really bad, so I'm trying to do this without glasses and see how I feel about that. But it's really all for the lighting. So I thought I'd continue my foray into the first Academy Awards, or whatever. The only completely silent Academy Awards. The movie I watched was The Last Command, which is Emil Jannings, I think his name is, won Best Actor for this role, and he also won it for one of the Lost films, but this is the only evidence of him being in a movie that year, I guess. And truthfully, I kind of wonder if that Lost film was any good, because this one kind of sucked. And considering this was the first Academy Awards, it was strange because this felt like an Oscar bait movie. And I would wonder if they knew that this was going to be something that would be in the first Oscars or something. But it was just an actor who basically picked an historical figure, in this case a Russian general, who, after basically being removed from Russia, came to Hollywood to become an extra in films. But just like any Oscar bait movie, it essentially just chews the scenery for the entire film. Each scene felt like it was twice as long as it needed to be. It was basically the 1928 version of House of Gucci, oddly enough. And overall, I'd say this movie fails on almost all counts. The acting was way overdramatic. Every bit of it was incredibly melodramatic to the point that it was ridiculous. I was laughing at bits just because the characters were trying to emote way too hard for every scene. Even for a silent movie where melodrama is kind of the name of the game, this went way over the top for every bit of it. Also, like House of Gucci, this movie couldn't settle on any genre. It had elements of a lot of genres. There was some comedic moments, there was some romantic moments, some dramatic moments, some war film moments or whatever, but it doesn't commit to any of them. And because of that, I'm just left picturing what could have been, what this movie tried to be and what it could have been. And if it just had settled on any one of those genres, I think it could have been a pretty good movie. I was actually thinking by the end, this could have been a pretty good comedy. I mean, the whole concept of a war general being kicked out of his own country and then coming to Hollywood to be an actor just seemed like a concept for a comedy to me. And it's something that I could see them remaking this into a comedy for modern audiences. It's one of those movies that should be remade not because it was good, but because it was bad. Because they could do better. This movie from almost 100 years ago. And that's really the remakes I appreciate, are things that you bring out of obscurity and remake it for modern audiences instead of just slapping Ghostbusters on something else and just because that'll make money. Unfortunately, I'm not in charge of anything, so I can't think of anything else to say about this movie outside of it sucked. So I guess I'll give it a rating now. Anything good about this movie? I guess again, like House of Gucci, some of the set pieces were really cool, especially from a film of its era. I mean, they did pretty epic stuff back then too, but there's definitely a lot of extras and a lot of scenes for all the army men. And when he was getting kicked out of the country, there was this really long scene of him in disgrace, being egged or whatever, people throwing stuff at him. Not eggs, but I don't think they actually threw eggs, but they were throwing garbage and stuff at him as he was being disgracefully forced out of the country. So yeah, I would say the production value of this film was pretty high. But just like I said with House of Gucci, you can't make a movie with sets or costumes alone, You need a good script first and build from there. This felt almost like it didn't even have a script. Just took out so long for any plot points to actually happen that by the end of the movie, I was just okay, I guess it's over now. It's one of those movies where it just kind of ends. I mean, actually it did have an ending of sorts, but it was just so cliche and generic. I wasn't sure if that was the actual ending. Or are we going to flash back again? So yeah, I guess just like House of Gucci, I'll give it a 1 out of 10. A 1 just because the production value was pretty high. And please like and subscribe, and feel free to suggest anything in the comments. Preferably not movies from the silent era. They get old. No pun intended, because they are old. I don't know. That's horrible.